Cricketry again. You're on ThePapare.com, and once again the news is not very good because Sri Lanka has just been beaten by South Africa in the third straight game in the ODI series, where they have now won the last 11 one-day games between Sri Lanka and South Africa, and also won the one-day series. Now this was after Sri Lanka won convincingly in the Test series 2-0, and South Africa has now returned the favour to Sri Lanka, winning the one-day series. Now looking at the game today, I thought this surface was outstanding, but there were a few areas that the Sri Lankans missed out which actually cost them to lose this game. Now the first thing was Sri Lanka allowed, would you believe it, 115 runs in the last 10 overs. Now had the Sri Lankans been able to pull it back, maybe even kept South Africa to their average in the last 10 overs, which is about 8.5 runs, well, Sri Lanka would have been 30 runs less in their target. 330 to me is definitely possible on this surface. Now if you look at the way the lower order of the Sri Lankans batted, particularly Pallekelle Dhananjaya, even some of the shots played by Suranga Lakmal, it will tell you that this surface was a good surface even when Sri Lanka batted the second time. Now another issue for me for Sri Lanka is the bankers, ThePapare and Suranga Lakmal. They were the ones whom the captain will always call on to try and keep things tight, and unfortunately Lakmal went for 21 runs in 1 over, and ThePare's second spell also wasn't up to really expectations. So with those happening and nothing really happening for the spinners, 360 was always going to be tough. Now when Sri Lanka batted, all they needed was a solid partnership or a solid foundation. Now that wasn't coming. That wasn't forthcoming. If not for Dhananjaya de Silva, Sri Lanka's reply would have been far worse and the defeat would have looked really bad. I'm not saying in any way that this defeat has given Sri Lanka any respectability. A defeat is a defeat, but at least Dhananjaya de Silva and Pallekelle Dhananjaya record stand at this ground, just helping Sri Lanka to give them some respectability. So overall, again, I thought the Sri Lankan batting was found wanting, and for once, when the pitch was good, when the Sri Lankans really need to put their hands up with the ball containing, I felt the experienced bowlers also let the side down. So just 2 games to go. Interestingly, Angelo Matthews saying that the Sri Lankan focus will change. They'll look to play differently. They'll want to play more on surfaces like this than brown surfaces. So let's hope that we'll have some exciting cricket going forward in the last 2 games.